Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Joey Galvez, one half of your host of Explain Yourself, and I want to let you guys know about a really cool book from our friend of the show, Eli Shockey. This one is called The Greylock, and it's a story where magic is a commodity. Potions are sold at corner stores. Orcs and dwarves earn a living in cubicles, not on the battlefields. But there are those who resist the house's magic's laws. Branded a criminal and forced to live as a wand for hire, there is a spell slinger they call the Greylock. Check this one out. You guys can pre-order issue 3 right now with code JAN241939, and make sure you guys are heading over to your favorite LCS and letting them know that you want Greylock number 3, and maybe pick up the first 2 issues. You could do that at the Scout web store. So make sure you guys are grabbing the Greylock number 3, JAN241939 at previewsworld.com.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real. My name is Michael E. Collins II, and with me, as always, is
Matthew Morris Haas.
Oh, okay. That's a good name to have.
Yep.
Should dye your hair blonde, like real blonde.
Yep.
That's good.
Nice and wavy, you know.
Mm-hmm. Become the all-American surfer boy.
Yep. Got the waves going.
Yep. That's good.
Yep.
So, before we get started here, you know how there's been all these mergers in Hollywood lately?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to announce a merger that I've done. I've decided to, I did an acquisition, actually. I bought myself some Pepsi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm drinking it right now.
Oh, how is that a merger?
Well, the Pepsi is now inside my body.
Oh, okay.
So I've merged with Pepsi.
Well, technically, you have. Are you like Pepsi Man then? Like the video game that came out?
Yes, I am.
You are Pepsi Man. Awesome.
Yes.
You know, speaking of Pepsi Man, I never understood the concept. I understood the concept of the game, but I never understood what they were going for, because the whole premise of the game. By the way, Pepsi invented this game. Okay, it was a free game, I think, that came with like Pepsi, or you could order it, or I don't know. And so Pepsi, the product or company, made this game to promote Pepsi, and the concept of the game is that everything in the world turns to Pepsi, and you have to stop that from happening. Again, the company itself made this game to promote its own product. Why would you do that? Like, your product's now the enemy of the world? What?
Well, what you're trying to do is, because if everything becomes Pepsi, then nobody can buy Pepsi, because Pepsi exists, and everywhere.
Oh, I guess maybe that's what they were getting at. I don't know.
It's all about capitalism.
Yeah, but I don't think the average player would have gotten that message. So like, you know, like a high-minded scholar, philosopher such as yourself could read between the lines, but your average 16-year-old player of that game probably wouldn't have got that message. They're sitting there thinking like, oh no, there's too much Pepsi. We got to get rid of the Pepsi. Wait, what? But Pepsi made the game to promote itself. Why? Anyway.
Well, that's...
You mentioned Pepsi, and I thought of Pepsi Man. That's what happened. But
yes. So, today on the show, we are covering the pilot for the short-lived sitcom that aired on NBC in 1993 and 94, entitled Saved by the Bell: The College Years, which is an interesting title because I think it didn't even last a whole season.
19 episodes at least.
Yeah. So it's not really years per se. I guess it ran from 93 to 94, so technically it's years.
The college year,
Yeah.
or the majority of a college year.
Yeah, it's like college freshman year.
And then our favorite characters just like died or something. Don't know what happened to them. But
Yep. So
yeah.
actually we do know what happened because then they had the Wedding in Vegas movie.
Right, yeah, exactly. They had so many of those. I forgot how much TV was saturated by Saved by the Bell during that time. Like I knew about the show and stuff, but I forgot all about like these special summer series they would have, like in Hawaii, that was like 4 episodes long. Then they would have like another thing like
the interesting thing about the like Malibu Sands episode where they were at this beach resort,
mm-hmm.
and these other ones, they're called adventure episodes. And they actually, the way they aired, it was really weird. They'd air like a regular episode, and then right after it, the same morning, air like the Malibu Sands episode.
Oh, really?
And then the next week they do the same. So you had this continuing storyline going on at Bayside, but then you had this continuing storyline that was like in an alternate universe where they were at this Malibu Sands.
Right. It's very kind of like disorienting a little bit. I seem to remember some of them airing at night though, or evening. Maybe I'm wrong, but
some things did. I mean, Saved by the Bell: College Years was a sitcom at night.
Okay.
They did have movies at night. Those were like the movies, like Saved by the Bell, like the Hawaiian thing or whatever. That was a movie. That aired, I think, probably in the prime time, and then they cut it up into like three or 4 episodes.
Okay.
For syndication. Yeah. So that
makes sense.
Yeah. So the regular Saved by the Bell ended, and the continuation of Saved by the Bell, they did 2 different sitcoms, one in prime time and another one on Saturday mornings. They did Saved by the Bell: The New Class in the mornings on Saturdays, and they did this College Years that we're covering in the evening. So you had 2 Saved by the Bell shows on at the same time.
Yeah.
And then this one got canceled, and then Dustin Diamond, a.k.a. Samuel Screech Powers, he ended up joining The New Class the second season as the administrative assistant to Mr. Belding. So that's the story of that Saved by the Bell era. And then currently now we do have a new Saved by the Bell as well on Peacock.
Right, yeah.
Which I've seen every episode of, and it's great, actually. So
okay.
Highly recommended, folks. It's cheesy as fuck, but it's good.
Just like the regular original. Yeah. It was cheesy as fuck, so.
Yeah. And, so, the, episode we are covering is called Pilot.
Of course.
Hence why it's a pilot. So what happens in this episode here, Matt?
Well, we have this killer intro song that's like one of the best songs ever written in the history of songwriting, I guess.
Oh yeah.
where it's like standing on the edge of tomorrow, and it's got this cool like chugging guitar riff. And it's like it's like really fast, like a tremolo type of like and it's like standing on the edge of tomorrow, today, and then the guy's voice echoes like 15 times after it. That's pretty sweet. And then it goes into Zach looking all collegey, walking through the halls of his dorm, and he's, doing this typical narration of what, college life's going to be all about and all this kind of stuff. And then he ends up going into what he thinks is his dorm room, because it's like a co-ed dorm. And, typical Zach Morris being a fucking idiot, thinks that he's sharing a room with the women. Like, that's not what co-ed means, you fucking moron. Anyway, so like they kick him out, and then he finds Slater, who of course is his roommate, because every single person who went to Bayside apparently is going to the same university called California University. I'm not even sure if that's a real university or not. Maybe it is.
It's
but
not. It's not.
You just see California. It's like, okay, it's such it's just like a generic name.
Yeah.
And then
Cal U. Yep.
Yeah, Cal U. And then, he's like flirting with the woman, like her name is Leslie Berg, which is interesting because she doesn't even introduce her name in that scene. And then when he walks into his suite and talks to Slater, and he's like, yeah, Leslie, the tall one. I'm like, well, she never even said her name. So that's interesting editing failure at that point right there. But, and, I watched it 4 times, so I've got a lot of memory on it. And,
wow.
Yeah, I can't believe I watched the episode 4 times. Yeah. Anyway, and Slater's got all of his workout equipment. Zach convinced him to move it out because he doesn't want it to look like tacky or whatever to the girls. And they're like, yeah, man, like we gotta look cool and stuff like that. Then Screech shows up. And they're like, oh, hi, Screech. And of course, he's going to this California university too because. Why would they all go to different colleges? Like, every friend that I went to high school with, we all went to the same college, and we all stayed in the same place. We all took the same classes together. Of course, that's what always happens, isn't it? And so Screech convinced the registration people or whatever to let him be their third roommate. And they're like, oh man, like Screech is gonna cramp our style type of thing or whatever. And it's interesting. So if you're familiar with the YouTube channel Zach Morris is Trash, which I highly recommend, it's hilarious. A big theme in that is how Zach treats like Screech like shit throughout their entire friendship, and pretty much just like manipulates and brainwashes him to like do his bidding. And it's very telling because 3 months away out of high school without Zach constantly manipulating him, Screech has a little bit of self-confidence. Very interesting, that, time away from your best friend makes you a better person. It's interesting. Maybe
they were away, who knows? Maybe during the summer they were together.
No, in my mind, he was away from Zach for 3 months. And then that's my canon. And then he's still like, geeky and dork, but he's not like shy and nervous and stuff like that. And I guess he never really was, but like, he, like, for example, like they have like this house party later on, and like this really hot girl, wants to have a slow dance with him because he's really good at like, computer science, and they're in the same class together or whatever. It's like, that never would have happened in high school. If it did, Zach would have swooped in and want to, dance with that woman, instead of Screech, and then, push him away and tell him to go play with his robot or some bullshit, because Zach Morris is a piece of shit. But, and and he reverts to his normal characteristics like within 15 minutes of this episode because why start your new life with like a new leaf? Why not just keep doing the same bullshit you've been doing for the past 7 fucking years of your life, or even longer than that? And they got like this really like buff like resident dude like RA or whatever his name is. He's like just like former 49ers linebacker or whatever. Yes. And he's like, you're not going to break any of my rules. Rule number 1, no parties. Rule number 2, no alcohol on the premises whatsoever. Pretty cool dude.
Yeah,
and
played by Bob Golick. who is
Bob Golick.
He plays Michael Rogers.
Yeah, Michael Rogers.
Yes.
Actually, I think he's like one of my favorite characters in the show.
Oh, he is. And Bob Golick was a former NFL player, so he...
Oh, really?
Yeah. He never played for the 49ers, though.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And his brother is a sportscaster, too. Mike Golick, which is interesting because his name is Mike on the show.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, they move in, and they got the whole thing going on. Slater has a job at the student union as a bus boy, basically, or a waiter or whatever the hell he is. where he thinks all the girls are gonna love him and they don't. Slater's also having his issues where he's not the best wrestler anymore.
Right.
So on the wrestling team, he's basically low man on the totem pole sort of thing, and so it's trying to deal with the fact that he was all state in four sports. Did you know that?
No.
Yes. So I've been listening to this podcast called Zach to the Future, which is a really great podcast. It's hosted by Mark Paul Gosselaar and Dashiell Driscoll, and Dashiell is the guy that created the Zach Morris's Trash things,
cool.
and does the narration on all those. Those two host it, and Mark Paul has never seen a single episode of Saved by the Bell. So they're going through and and he's watching it for the first time and then talking about it because he just hates watching himself act, so he's never watched it. So it's really it's one of my favorite podcasts right now that's out there.
It sounds like me. Yeah, I'm very embarrassed to watch anything I've ever been in.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah. I think you're embarrassed to watch me? Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm always embarrassed to watch you, Matt, because I just oh God, Matt, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I'm joking. No. Yeah, no, I don't like watching myself. I think most people don't really like watching themselves. If you do, you're like Donald Trump or something, and or Ben Shapiro or some kind of narcissist.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyways, the show is great. But they did talk about it, and they're it's mentioned in one of the episodes of the original series that he's all state in 4 different sports. Not sure what all 4 sports those are, but one of them is wrestling. So.
Yeah, I don't think they ever showed him.
Or all city, all city maybe.
Maybe all city. Hey, they may have shown him play basketball at one episode, I think, or something. I don't know.
He was on the football team. He
right.
Yeah.
But they only showed wrestling really for the main thing.
Yeah, because they didn't have the money to
go
on a football field and shoot a football game or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, so that's what's going on with Slater. What else is happening here, Matt?
So they have a party to celebrate Leslie's 18th birthday. Even though they're not supposed to have parties, and I still love just that character of Mike. He's such a good actor because Screech is being kind of dumb. What happens if we break the rules? And he just kind of has a smile on his face. He's break one of my rules. What do you think's gonna happen? He just has his anyway. I just love that delivery right there. But so they throw a party, to celebrate a birthday. and people have brought their own alcohol, which it wasn't, Zach didn't, supply it himself or anything like that. They brought their own, and things started to kind of get a little messy because Slater invited his wrestling team there, and one of the guys basically ate like an entire cake that was the birthday cake for Leslie, but it was also like big enough for everyone else to have like a little bit of too. And it's like not the nitpick here, but like, so like I know with wrestling and stuff, like there's weight classes and stuff like that where if you gain weight, but like from what I understood, you're supposed to eat certain kinds of foods, like not just anything, like protein mainly. Like you're not supposed to eat like a birthday cake. Like I don't know, but like that's kind of what I got the gist of when I would hear like people who are on the wrestling team talk about stuff like that. Like I don't think you're just supposed to just eat anything. You know what I mean? Like you're not just like, oh, I'm going to drink a gallon of Coke and eat McDonald's. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but anyway, so she, her one of her roommates who was sadly only in the first episode, and then I don't even know her name. Was it Valerie? Because she was only in like 2 scenes.
The character's name is Danielle Marks was the character's name. And,
that's right, Danielle.
Yeah, it was played by Essence Adkins, who later went on to star in Smart Guy as TJ's sister on that show.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so she did well after this, but she's only in this episode because she's replaced by Tiffany Amber Thiessen in the next episode.
As Kelly Kapowski.
Yeah, because things happened and she was available to now be in the show.
So again, now we got four of the old gang.
Yeah.
In college together at the same university in the same dorm hall in the same suite. What are the odds, right? The only person who's not there is Jesse.
And Lisa.
Jesse and Lisa, of course.
Yeah.
There's 6 of them. Okay, so 4 out of 6. And, because I think at that point Jesse was probably doing Showgirls or some shit. I don't know, or the actor played Jesse. Which I never saw, but I heard like it was a terrible movie, like some of the worst reviews ever made.
It's okay. So I watched it when I was a younger man, and there's nudity in the movie,
right?
Obviously, so it's kind of sad. Where me and my friend Steve were watching it one time, and about 15 minutes to a half hour in the movie, we didn't care about the fact that there was nudity because the movie was so bad.
Right, yeah.
And when you're a young man in your 20s, or whatever I was at the time, or, teenage years, whatever I was, it's kind of sad when you just are upset that the plot sucks.
Exactly, like it just ruins it for you. Like, because like back in the day, like there wasn't like stuff available like it is now, which one can argue whether it's a good thing or bad thing, whatever. I'm not going to get into that subject, but like you had to get really creative about stuff. Like, oh, I'm gonna rent this movie, or whatever. I gotta pause it at the right time, or like sometimes like when I was like 13 or something like that, I had my friend over, to sleep over, and we used to like look through like the HBO like TV guide to see like what was on. Like, oh, there's a movie called The Joy of Sex at 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday or whatever. So like we like arrange it, so he can stay over at night. And we watch it, and we're sitting there watching this movie for like an hour. They're like, there's really nothing going on in this freaking movie. What the hell? And then we had to keep changing the channel because people keep getting up to go to the bathroom and stuff. And then eventually we just like played video games till we fell asleep. So like, adolescence or / young adulthood, interesting times.
That's how it is.
Back then, though, and I guess I will get into it a little bit, but I think back then, it's just natural for people to do those little things because you're starting to mature and stuff like that. But like starting out with that, I think is much healthier than like just starting out with whatever available is right now. Like it's just so like it's just unhealthy in my personal opinion. It's unhealthy. Being like that age and like just having like everything available to you, like just anything possible, like no limits, just like that. Anyway, how we got this from Saved by the Bell. Anyway,
but anyways, you want to take a quick break here, Matt?
Yeah, just hit the bell and the subscribe button, and then no.
Wait. All right. Yeah, and if you're watching us, if you're listening to this on YouTube, I'm trying to figure out why everybody listens to American Pie Girls Rules. We've got 15,000 views on that. That's more. That's more than we have on anything else combined. So that's just weird. Okay, so anyways, just curious about that. So if anybody has the answer to that, message me at mike@cullenpark.com. Anyways, we'll be right back.
What is Gen X? What is the silent generation? What do generations have in common? Hi, I'm Trish the Dish from the Gen X Voice podcast, and I invite you to listen to conversations I have with folks from different generations, backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences in an attempt to see what connects rather than divides us. Even though Gen X has been called slackers, Karens, or not mentioned at all in some cases, we are the bridge generation, so I feel compelled to do my part to destroy ageism by bringing all these voices together. And, as a bonus, each guest gets to answer some 80s questions at the end of each show. So download and listen to Gen X Voice today on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And let's see how much we have in common after all.
Hi, this is Catherine, host of a new fashion podcast, The Real Fashion School Dropout. Join me as I interview guests every week in the fashion and beauty space, and we gossip on all things fashion and beauty, and even get into some personal stories of their journey in the industry. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Hope to see you there.
So then, after I was, doing my bottomless ice dancing, I became a bottomless showgirl.
So you changed your John Coolsack name to like something else?
It was Elizabeth Freaky, and
wow.
I don't know. I'm just making this up, folks. I didn't really do that.
Both are.
Sorry, folks. Just letting you know. Unfortunately, I never was a bottomless ice dancer. I made that whole thing up in the last couple episodes.
It's okay. It's fine.
See, because my life is just meaningless, and I thought that maybe I'd have some meaning if I did something in my life that meant something to people, like bottomless ice dancing.
For you, that was bottomless ice dancing. Yeah, of course.
When I was a kid, living in the suburbs. Wait, I never lived in the suburbs. Living in the city, I thought, hey, one day I'm gonna move to Vegas and become a bottomless ice dancer.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that I was thinking that when I was like 5, but
yeah, kind of weird.
Yeah.
By the way, that bit originates from our Duck Factory episode. If you're interested in that,
yes. This is a
Jim
bit.
Carrey.
This is a bit. Wait, what?
Well, kind of a bit, isn't it?
Oh wait, I thought it was true. Oh wait, no.
Well, you just said it was a lie.
Oh shit! I can't do this, man.
You can't keep your story straight.
So, I couldn't skate straight either because it was kind of hard. Anyway, so back to Saved by the Bell, the college years. What else happens in this episode? So we have this party going on.
yeah, the party. The wrestler dude makes fun of Slater, so he says he's gonna quit wrestling because he can't take, quote, the abuse anymore, which is really just people making fun of him a little bit, which is, but he was never used to that, so he was always the cool guy, so he's not used to that. So to him, that's like a huge deal, you know, like a bunch of guys like cracking jokes about him, like, yeah, you're like a mechanic, you're always on your back or whatever type of thing, you know, like, okay. So, Zach's still trying to get in with Leslie, and she's dancing with some other guy.
Yeah, I mean, basically, he threw this party just to kind of impress her.
Yeah, pretty much. Just typical Zach Morris behavior. So Mike shows up. Not you, a different Mike. The Mike from the show shows up, and not you with your skates and your bottomless. You know, you didn't show up with your ice skates and whatever.
No, I didn't.
You know, exposing yourself. No, it was the Mike from the show. He shows up, and he's like, "Get out, party's over, blah, blah, blah," you know, typical RA stuff or whatever. And he's like, then they, you know, figure out how to punish them. So, he's like, Zach tries to take the blame, which is actually interesting for him because he typically tries to get out of trouble. So there's a little bit of emotional maturity finally after like 7 years of plotting schemes. That pretty much means the same thing. Hatching schemes. Finally he's willing to take the fall, but Mike doesn't let him, because they all contributed, so they all have to equally be punished. So they can either get kicked out of the dorm, or they gotta have curfew for a whole month, or they had to sign up every freshman into something.
They had to fill out a survey.
That's right, survey. 3,000 freshmen, though.
Yeah.
And then Zach, like an idiot, of course, because that's how he is, he just jumps to any bullshit opportunity he thinks he has. Which, again, it's like curfew for a month. Not that bad. I mean, it's a month. You're in school for 9-10 months a year.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
1 month of curfew is not that big of a deal. Whatever. So, like an idiot, he jumps to the idea, oh, we'll do this. And it's like, oh, wait, now you got to sign up 3,000 people. And they're like, well, that's going to take forever. And Mike's like, yeah, that's the beauty of it, type of thing. So then Zach reverting back to his high school and junior high ways. By the way, there's an episode where he loses his teacher's almost entire savings to invest in a freaking potato scheme and loses all of her money. So that's the kind of person Zach Morris is, okay? Hardworking teacher who supposedly is his favorite teacher, his favorite adult in his entire life besides his parents. Yeah, just takes all of her money and invests all of it into some fucking potato company because he heard some stock guy talk about potatoes being the future or some bullshit. So he's like, oh, get rich quick. Great, I'll just take all of my...
Was this during the Good Morning Miss Bliss years, or...?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Good Morning. So he ended up almost bankrupting and rendering his favorite teacher homeless. So this is the kind of person Zach Morris is, and always will be. But anyway, so he has a brilliant idea. Oh, well, it'll take too long to actually do like any leg work, because why would Zach Morris ever actually put in like some elbow grease? Well, that's kind of a wrong analogy because I said leg work. Whatever. Put in any kind of hard labor into anything he does. No, he always has to streamline it and to be more, quote, efficient, which usually means that he's cheating in some way or deceiving people in order to fulfill his little fantasy he's got going. So he comes up with the idea of having some like contest where you can win a trip to Hawaii. Oh, but here's the clincher. There is no trip to Hawaii. Typical Zach Morris nonsense.
Yep.
So Mike shows up, and he knows, because he already had Zach pegged from the beginning. He knew just who this type of guy is, So he tries to kind of talk to him like he agrees with them, like, oh man, like I used to be just like you, and yeah, I love these little schemes you play. You probably used to do these all the time in high school, right? He's like, yeah, man, I was like the king. He's like, yeah, well, guess what, Zach? He's like, what? You're not in high school anymore. If you have a contest for a prize, there better be a prize at the end of it.
Yep.
So basically, yeah.
It's Yeah, I mean, and you can't do the total high school schemes like you used to, and you're an adult now, Zach. Yeah, and so Zach ends up having to get a job then at the student union with Slater to
pay for it.
To pay for it. Yep.
And this is how little Zach still understands about money, even after all. We're talking about 8 years of trying to get rich, and he still doesn't understand, the basic fundamentals of how money works. Like, it's actually quite astonishing that he has a part of his brain that just hatches schemes like in his sleep, but he can't understand like the fundamental value of like a dollar over time. It's just quite astonishing. So like he makes this joke about like, oh well, I guess I'll have this trip, paid off by my junior year or whatever. Oh yeah, because there was a scene where there was like this woman that was being really mean to Slater earlier. So then Zach paid her $20 to flirt with Slater, and then and then he gives her $20 right afterwards.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I guess I'll be paying off in senior year. And it's like, wait, you think an extra $20 on top of a ticket to Hawaii is going to extend your payment plan a full year? Really?
Well,
Wow.
back in 1993, people only got paid a nickel an hour, and
Okay, sure, yeah.
and
I mean, what a dumbass. Like, I'm just saying, like, just use, like, you don't even have to be good at math. Just use, like, basic logic. Like, okay, you got a ticket that's probably $3,000, I'm guessing, to Hawaii, a trip, or if not even more than that, $5,000 even. Because we're not just talking about a plane ticket, we're talking about an actual trip. So we're looking at probably $3,000, $5,000, and he's like, oh, I'm going to, by the way, $5,000 in 1994 time, he would still be paying that stuff off way after he graduated college. So right there, he's already wrong, right there. And then he's like, oh, an extra $20 on top of $3,000. That's going to extend my payment plan a whole year. It's like, dude, $20 and $3,000. It's a pretty big gap. Anyway, but we're talking about Zach Morris here, who doesn't know shit about shit. So I fucking hate that guy so much. Anyway, what else happened?
but we love Mark Paul Gosselaar because he's nothing like the character.
Oh yes. The actor is great.
Just
Sure,
letting you know.
I know. Like, I agree. I'm not making fun
He's
of
not
him.
even blonde. He's not even fully white. So,
But that just proves how good of an actor he is, that he makes me hate that character so much. So that just proves it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So is that about all that happens in this episode?
Is it? Yeah, I mean, we covered Screech's confidence boosting because Zach hadn't been manipulating him. Well, you said they could have spent all summer together. In my mind, they haven't. But
yes,
Slater doesn't quit the team after all because Zach schemed. I guess Zach's scheming actually helped this time, which it rarely does. But that actually,
yeah, it seems like Zach kind of more cares about people in this. At least in this episode.
He does. I mean, I watched like 10 episodes today, so he progressively he does. I mean, he still does really dangerous scheming. Like at one episode, he actually pretends to be his cultural anthropology professor because he wants to seduce a student that's really into his work. And then he almost gets his professor fired because it turns out that the woman is the chancellor's daughter, and it's extremely forbidden for professors and students to date each other. So, like, that's a pretty dangerous scheme right there, fucking with someone's livelihood. And, so yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Check that episode out. It's very interesting.
Yeah. I kind of remember it. I haven't seen the whole series in a long time, but I used to watch it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the worst one he's ever done.
Yeah, I don't know. Over the years, Zach's done a lot of bad shit. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. If anybody in the world did like a quarter of the things that Zach Morris has done, they'd be in jail for the rest of their lives.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we got sneaking in the girls' bathrooms and not washrooms, gym, whatever,
Yeah.
the locker room, there you go, taking pictures of them, which I'm sure at least some of them were minors at some point, just from a statistical point of view. That's not good. And making calendars out of them and selling them to adults.
Yeah, that one's probably the worst.
Yeah. That's just one scheme.
Yeah, and that's just one of the many. Yeah. If you haven't watched Saved by the Bell, I suggest it. It's very interesting.
And watch it through the lens of Zach Morris's Trash, because it really gives you a different perspective of like how dangerous these schemes really were. Like,
and how stupid Mr. Belding was. Anyways, so
most idiotic principle of all time. Yeah.
Anyways, do you want to take another break here, Matt, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some trivia and some reviews of this wonderful show?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Need a new podcast to listen to? Well, why not check out the Super Podcast from the Super Network at supermarcy.com, where we discuss films and pop culture, and we do monthly fan-voted commentaries. We are available on all major podcasting platforms.
And we are back. I think I just lost my voice for a second there. That was weird. And we are back. Okay, anyways. So, here's some little bit of trivia that I found online here for Saved by the Bell, the college years.
All right.
It previewed its pilot episode following the primetime airing of Saved by the Bell graduation finale on Saturday, May 22nd, 1993. The series then had its proper debut with back-to-back episodes on Tuesday, September 14th, 1993. The pilot originally found the three male leads of Zach, Slater, and Screech attending college together. Their dorm room shared a common space with three co-eds, Alex, Danielle, and Leslie. Leslie, who was intended as a love interest for Zach. Following the pilot, Tiffany Amber Thiessen expressed interest in reprising her character of Kelly. To make space in the cast, the producers fired Essence Atkins, who played Danielle, under the explanation that her character had transferred to another school. That's just... So, my thing with this is, it's like, okay, so we have this cast of mostly white people, besides Mario Lopez and Essence Atkins. And we need to replace one of these characters. Let's get rid of the black girl.
Right.
What the hell?
I know.
I mean, I'm not saying that they should have got rid of one of the other ones. In my opinion, they probably should have actually gotten rid of Leslie, because they brought in Tiffany Amber Thiessen, and she's Zach's soulmate, basically, Kelly. So,
right. She's one of the original six.
Yeah. So they probably should have got rid of Leslie. But who knows? It did give it a different dynamic, though, to the show. But,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting, but this was the 90s. Resident advisor Mike Rogers was initially intended to be the opposing authority figure to Zach and his schemes. He was portrayed by Bob Golick, a professional athlete who had previously played football for the New England Patriots and the Cleveland Browns and the Los Angeles Raiders. He never actually played for the San Francisco 49ers. The theme song, Standing at the Edge of Tomorrow, was written and arranged by Jonathan Wolfe, a composer whose credits include the main title themes for Seinfeld, Will and Grace, and According to Jim. So that's interesting. The show was canceled before completing its debut season. Its final two episodes, Marry Me and Wedding Plans, aired back-to-back on Tuesday, February 8th, 1994. These episodes saw the return of Saved by the Bell castmate Lisa Turtle, Lark Voorhees, as well as a cliffhanger wedding engagement between Zach and Kelly. The main cast of both Saved by the Bell and Saved by the Bell: The College Years, minus Anne Tremco, who played Leslie, reunited for Saved by the Bell: Wedding in Las Vegas, a TV movie that aired in primetime on October 7th, 1994. The film includes a diamond heist, not of Dustin Diamond, but of a diamond. Just letting you know they didn't heist Dustin Diamond. A Gilbert Gottfried cameo, and the ceremonial union of Zach and Kelly. Following the season's cancellation, 4 further adventures on campus were published in a series of young adult novels with titles such as Freshman Frenzy, Zach Zeroes In, and Exit Stage Right. Author Beth Cruz had previously published a series of novels set during the cast high school years at Bayside. So if you want more adventures, there you go.
Yeah.
Would you like me to read a review or two here?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. We got a 7 out of 10. The headline of this one is "Even Screech Grew Up for Good." This is from Insomniac Rod, published on November 19th, 2007 on the Internet Movie Database. Finally, a clever show that follows a plot and it's soon canceled. I mean, we have the most popular cast members of the original series and the most difficult student era of their lives, college. The idea was very interesting, but producers didn't feel it had potential. Some jokes were funny and clever, and so were the situations that had a feeling of maturity towards our characters. Also, new cast members, including teachers, were solid additions to the show. Mike Rogers was a fun character and added some spice to the show. The rest of the cast was cliched, but it's okay. I mean, it displays true life in college. The show had potential, believe me, but you can't go against producers. A cult show in the future, that's for sure. That was a 7 out of 10. Here's one called Here's one that says whatever. This is from Vandergirl 2004, published on October 29th, 2002. Okay. I think Saved by the Bell was a great show. I liked the high school times, and when they went to college, it sort of made the show better. I was a little pissed that they took Lisa and Jesse out of it, but it was still good. How can you say that they made it highly unfunny, though, saying that somebody else was wrong about their review? Throughout the years, there was never a dull, boring, unfunny episode, and it wasn't slow and stupid. Man, you need to get your head checked. I do agree about the new class. I think that was... this is really dated. They said, I think that was gay.
Oh, boy.
That they made that stupid show. I never watched it. I never understood how or why Screech was back in high school. What's up with that? You know, if you watched the show, you might know. Slater was my favorite. Why do you think Zach would go to college? He's smart, but doesn't show it a lot of the time. It's a place to find babes, as he would say.
Right.
I miss the show. They should have a reunion and have Zach, of course, marry Kelly and Screech engaged to Lisa, which would be hilarious. And Slater married to Jesse, and Mr. Belding could possibly have gotten a divorce and married Miss Bliss. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah.
Wow.
None of that came to fruition in the new Saved by the Bell, by the way, except for the Zach and Kelly thing. What did you think of this pilot episode, Matt?
It was decent. it was very cheesy, like most Saved by the Bell is, but it kind of had, its own charm to it. Like I said, I watched like 10 episodes today, so
Do you
it's
think
not all bad.
Do you think the show should have continued after the first season?
I think it could have lasted at least 2 seasons
Mm-hmm.
or 4, but maybe not like as many episodes per season. Like maybe like 13 episodes a season or something like that.
Yeah.
'Cause, it is kind of hard to fill. I mean, I was surprised that it even got 19 episodes because I thought Saved by the Bell typically only had like 13, 14 episodes a season, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
I
I
don't
think they
remember.
might. I think they might have had like the typical 22 or something.
Okay. Yeah,
'Cause-
but
yeah,
I liked it.
I did too. I mean, I really liked the show. I used to watch it. Like, it used to be on TBS in the morning or something years ago, and I used to
Mhm.
watch it a lot. They used to show like regular Saved by the Bell, and then they would follow it with one of these episodes, which was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a good show. I mean, I like sequels and reboots and stuff. I think that's kind of interesting. I think a lot of times they suck, but I do like to see them. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. Anything else before we wrap things up here, Matt?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Earlier, because I was watching so much of the show, I remember that whole 28 Days Later thing that was on YouTube, or like,
Oh, yeah.
even before YouTube came out. I watched like the first episode. Like, it was very dated though, like, because like I remember when I first saw it, I thought it was like the funniest thing ever, and I'm like this is okay, I guess. This is like,
Yeah, that was like part of that Channel 101 thing that Dan Harmon and what's his face started. Yeah.
and it was so I went and go check that out if you can. I mean, it's kind of dated, but it's just kind of a funny concept, because of the movie 28 Days Later,
Yeah.
about zombies and stuff like that. And like, it's basically the premise is that like it's Mario Lopez played by someone else. I think it's not actually.
Yeah, it's
him.
not Mario.
He thinks that he is Slater. Like, that's like the whole plot, basically. Like,
I'm gonna have to look that up again and watch it. I can't.
Yeah.
I probably haven't seen that in like 10 years or so. Yeah. Check that out. Yeah. Like I said, I do recommend listening to the Zach to the Future podcast if you're a friend. If you're a friend, I mean a fan of Saved by the Bell in general.
friend of Saved by the Bell, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun podcast. Also, rest in peace, Dustin Diamond.
Yeah,
44 years old, man. That's too young.
I know.
Yeah, it's like a year older than me. And make sure you do us a favor. Check out our Patreon. Check out our TeePublic. You can get some cool T-shirts. We do have a new T-shirt on there from a previous episode that we did. The T-shirt is called Sebastian, Go Fuck Yourself. And
Yeah,
it's
from
a great T-shirt. Yep.
our Little Mermaids Island episode.
Yes. And check that out. Make sure you subscribe to our show. Share it with people if you can. That really helps out. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or whatever the hell they're calling it this week. And they changed the name of the thing from time to time. I don't know why. It used to be iTunes, but they got rid of that, and then now they're yeah.
They want to change things up, man.
Yeah, just give us a review anywhere you can. Share the show, like I said. Check out all2real2.com. That's our website where you can find everything there. But besides that, make sure you get vaccinated, people.
Mm-hmm.
There's no microchips in there. There's no potato chips. There's no chocolate chips. There's no Eric Estrada in the cast of Chips. There's nothing in there. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. So just letting you know that. So at least that's what the overlords have told me to tell you. Anyway, so wait. So anyways, until next time, folks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.